And welcome to another exciting video. In this one, we'll be learning about event handlers with React. Applications can be laid out and styled pretty, but if they don't respond to interactions from the user, then they are just web pages, not apps. Let's get an introduction to event handlers with React. There are a ton of supported events that you can find with React docs. We still haven't gotten to state yet, so we have implemented our own little way of managing state and re-rendering our component so we can play around with event handlers. One thing you will want to know is that events with React are very similar to working with events in regular DOM. React does have an optimization implementation on top of the event system called synthetic events. But most of the time, you won't observe any difference with those events from regular DOM events. And you can always get access to the native event using the native event property. Over here, you can see that we have an app component that is rendering some JSX here for there have been events like click me and you typed. If I go ahead and update this value over here in the code to 10 and a username to, let's say, John, and save this, you'll notice that when the page loads, you see those values over here. But what if I want to increment those values by clicking on the click me button or get that username when I type over here? In order to do that, we will be making use of events. For example, we have this button and every button has got a click event. So what we'll do is we will introduce the click event over here and we'll say onClick, and then we'll have to provide a function name. Let's say onClick. So it is going to handle click event from the user. So we'll give it a name like handle click. Once I have this name, I have to define a function with this name. So in order to define this function, we'll be creating that function over here. So we'll say function and then the name of the function as handle click. As it's not expecting any parameters, so we will be having this bracket over here. Within this, we need to create a method using which we will be able to set the value of this state event count to be incremented by 1 every time it's clicked. So what we need to do is create one more function which we'll be using over here inside the function, inside the handle click function. And that function is going to be called set state because we will be updating the state over here. So the set state function is going to expect a parameter and it is going to update the value of that state variable by using object.assign. And here we are calling render app again. So if you see, render app is nothing but a function which is making use of the React DOM.render and generating the UI piece over here using the app component that we have. Now that we have the set state function, we can go ahead and make use of this set state over here. And here you can see what we are doing is we are calling set state and then we are passing this as parameter. Now this has got the variable name. So we have event count and then we are accessing this event count using state.event count and we are incrementing the value by 1 every time this button is getting clicked. So that's handle click. Let's save this and now go ahead and click on this button, click me. So you can see that it is incremented every time we click on this click me button. Similarly, what we can do is for our input type, we can have onChange event. So we can say onChange, and over here again we will have a handler for this onChange event. Now the handler, we can name it as handle change, and again we will have to define this handle change over here. So let's call this as function handle change, and this time around we need to have some kind of input to this handle change method or function, and this is going to be the event which is triggering this change. So we'll be passing it as event, and then inside this we will again make use of the set state method that we have created, and this time around we will be updating the username. So here we are saying set state username, and then we are making use of the event dot target dot value. So the value that we'll be typing inside this text box will be updated, and the username value in the state will be updated and shown. So let's go ahead and save this now. Go ahead over here and try typing John, and you can see that as soon as I'm typing it, it's showing it over here as well. A couple of things I would like to highlight over here. The way that we are rendering our application over here is not the standard way of re-rendering an application or managing state in React application, but this is going to work for our purposes of learning how events work in React. Now over here, if I go ahead and inspect this input by doing a console log over here whenever we are typing something. So let's go ahead and do that console.log, and here we type event, save this, and now in the console window, if I go ahead and type something over here, you'll notice the synthetic event is coming up. If you explore this a bit, you'll notice the actual event name is different. So here you have the native event, but React is wrapping it up as a synthetic event. So if you ever need to make use of the native event, what you can do is over here, you can pass that as, you can make use of the event.native event.target.value over here. And if you save this and type it over here, you still get the same response. So that is because synthetic event kind of has all the properties that these native event provides, and that's the reason why you get the same response. But it's obviously recommended that we make use of the synthetic event, not the native event, whenever we are making use of React. So that's how we handle events in a React component.